Brothers, sisters, and others of all colors, welcome back. I just shaved, dog. I just shaved. Welcome back to another YouTube video. This time. We're going to talk about barefootedness, and grounding, alright? I'm extremely, and I mean extremely pro-barefoot, alright? Many people will say, alright? And I'm not saying that their arguments are invalid, by the way. I am saying, though, that barefootedness has its own benefits. And that while we can look at the downsides of being barefoot on their own, I think that it's extremely important to look at the things that you can get from barefootedness that you can't get from anywhere else. You can't get through any other experience walking or experiencing the earth, okay? Barefootedness is related to grounding. It's even called grounding. Why is that? Because barefootedness brings your attention to the present moment. When you walk around with your shoes off, you have a much greater and deeper experience with your sense of touch. It's like your sense of touch is as present as your sense of sight and your sense of hearing, to where it's actually like an everyday part of your experience. And I think that's extremely underlooked. Whether something's too hot, too cold, and there's just so much information in the texture of an object. Like so many different layers and dimensions to the information of the texture of an object, and there's a reason why we have so many dimensions of that. Whereas with things like taste and smell, there are indeed I think there are more dimensions in touch than there are in taste and smell. And some of our understandings of things in taste and smell are also connected to our sense of touch. Things like a sharp flavor, right? Things like and our texture, mouth texture, that's another example of sensation and touch being an important part of our physical experience. Mouthfeel, as they say. So that's the power of barefootedness, is that it gives you a much deeper connection to your sense of touch and to the physical world around you, alright? Wearing shoes of any kind, wearing socks, you're always going to get a totally, you just cannot get the full experience of being here on Earth without or with your shoes on. And that will involve some dangers. We know this, but we have, unlike back in the 1500s, well, they probably had shoes back then, unlike BC, the BC era, alright? We have fucking hospitals. We have modern technology, alright? We have antibiotics and shit. Yes, people back then died to diseases, and people back then died very early on into their lives, right? But I think that issue was not entirely because of not wearing shoes. I think it had a lot more to do with technology, and a lot more to do with antibiotics and shit, which they didn't really have back then, or of a particularly high quality. And there's another aspect of barefootedness that helps us out: peripheral vision. When you're barefoot, you have to know what's on the ground, but you also have to look forward at the same time. Now, when I walk around barefooted, I look at the ground, but I realize something. The bottom of the ground exists in my peripheral vision too. You notice? Have you ever heard of this thing, or have you ever tried this thing? It's easier to look up, or it's easier to look down than it is to look up. It's easier on your eyes to look down than it is to look up. And I think the reason for that is because it's easier for you to see what's on the ground. It's easier for you to see with more detail and more focus what's on the ground when you look down, rather than when you look up. But this is connected back to our idea of looking at the ground and being able to see and process what's on the ground. Have you ever noticed how much fucking trash is everywhere? Why is that? Because, well, who cares? I don't think it's simply laziness. I think a part of that process is not really experiencing or caring about the ground because it's just not as much in your conscious experience as anything else. But it is. And like, the more I really hate shoes. The more shoe-like it is, the more I dislike it. It's like the closer it is to the modern shoe, the more I dislike it. Right now I'm wearing these fucking barefoot shoes, the super flexible ones. They give you like a read on like the topology of the ground, which is another aspect of being barefoot, is that you have a much deeper understanding of like the topology of the ground that you're on, and you have a much better ability to balance yourself because you're actually picking up that information, right? If I taught you how to sword fight, but you believed that you could only use your shoulders to swing the sword, you would swing that sword in the worst way imaginable. You would be totally unaware of your elbows and your hands' ability to control the sword, or even your fingers' ability to control the sword. Information is everything when it comes to being able to navigate life with grace and ease. And this is why it's important to have the information available to you, and that's why not wearing shoes is very fucking good. Alright, now let's talk about the dangers. You can step on sharp objects. This is very, 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 like, this is a very real thing. Even when you think about, like, oh, well, every piece of glass is like this shiny thing that's on the ground. I saw a squirrel over there. It's freaking, so I'm not going to step on any glass. I'm not going to step on anything sharp. No. I stepped on like a fuck ton of thorns, and it was bullshit on my way back home from work, because I was like, you know what, I'm just going to walk home barefoot. Yeah, I'll use this opportunity. It's a little barefoot walking in. I stepped on a fucking bunch of thorns, and they got all stuck in my foot, and it was bullshit, and it sucked. The chance for disease, alright, very real possibility. I haven't gotten a disease yet, but it makes sense. And here's my counterpoint. As you walk more and more and more, you start to develop fucking calluses on your foot. Deep ass fucking 1-inch thick calluses, alright? Now, it's not exactly sexy to have calluses on, alright? Maybe, alright? I'm not a foot fetish person, so I wouldn't be able to tell you if that would be a good part of that experience or not, alright? But you develop fucking deep ass, big ass calluses, and you don't even feel that shit anymore. That's the theory, at least. I have developed pretty big calluses at some point, but I never actually tested them on things like sharp stuff. And then like things like stepping on rocks can be kind of uncomfortable, but I think that like rocks and pebbles are kind of fun now. Especially like if they're like medium-sized rocks. River rocks can also be very interesting too. It's got like an acupunctural psych. It's got this like acupunctural effect or something like, or acupressural, I guess, like benefit to it. Where like you're stepping on these stones and it's like, damn, this shit is hitting me in like 50 different areas and it feels great. But at first it's kind of uncomfortable. At first you're like, holy shit, there's a bunch of fucking rocks here and it's gonna suck. So yeah, there are uncomfortable experiences. There are downright negative and dangerous experiences that can come from wearing shoes. But I think it's one of the least dangerous things. All right. Well, there's one more thing. Fucking parasites. Ringworm. I think it's like ringworm or roundworm you can find in the ground, and that shit will dig into your feet and through, probably with the help of some of the sharper objects or the roughness, weakening your feet or whatever, and dig into your shit and enter your system, and you'll have a 25,000-foot tapeworm that is basically your new digestive tract, okay? Now, for as entertaining as that sounds from the outside, it's probably not very pleasant from the inside, alright? Being a using your rectum for a tapeworm's shit instead of your own is probably not what you want. But yeah, to be honest, I'm just gonna say my only counter argument to this is modern medicine and prayer. And that could be, and it can be dangerous because ringworm can cause, or not ringworm, but tapeworms can cause like epilepsy and shit. Um, if you've seen that Kurzgesagt video, Kurzgesagt, I gotta say it. I gotta say it the German way, or try to. So yeah, being barefoot can be dangerous, okay? And the shoes don't exist for no reason. There's some places where maybe you should totally ignore the idea of not wearing shoes there, alright? If you are walking around in the fucking tall grasses of Africa, if you decide to sleep near a chigger nest, alright? I mean, Darwin Award, right? Now, it's a little bit cruel, the whole Darwin Award thing. But yeah, like, you know, if you're walking around in barefoot in some parts of Africa and you end up getting like a chigger in your foot, like a bunch of them, holy shit. I can't even imagine. I mean, I can imagine, but I don't want to imagine. That's yours now. There's some places, yeah, where it sucks and you shouldn't do it. But there are a lot of places where you can walk around barefoot and it's totally fine. It's 1000% fine. In fact, I'm willing to bet that even in Africa it's 1000% fine. And also, so yeah, in short, walking around without shoes has a lot of benefits, alright? Well, hold on, there's one more thing. Because there are very pleasant experiences you can have walking around with no shoes. There are textures on the ground that will have you like, holy shit, I need this right now. Shit that'll make you want to quit carpet for the rest of your life, alright? I promise. There's some shit you can step on this planet that'll change your fucking life. And one of those things is wet grass in the shade. Slightly wet grass in the shade will change your life. It's soft, and maybe it's not even wet. Maybe it's just like just soft ass grass in the shade. It's fucking incredibly soft, texturally fascinating, and it hits you in all the right areas. It's cool, it's refreshing. It's kind of like a glass of watermelon juice on a warm summer day. It's fucking awesome. And you might not ever have that experience wearing some clammy ass shoes. Alright? And that's the other thing. Shoes fucking, especially, like, we're more aware of this nowadays. Where, like, The modern shoe was designed by rich people because it's a way of saying, hey, look, I don't have to walk and I'm not poor. It's a way of mocking fucking poor people. It's dumb. And just like a mockery, the karmic consequences of this stupid ass mockery bullshit is that you lose something that is intrinsically valuable as a consequence. So what we end up with now, unfortunately, and trying to be like, oh, we gotta be like the rich. Fuck the rich. Alright? Take care of yourself. Take care of yourself. Fuck the rich. Alright? We end up with motherfuckers with fucked up feet. Pointy fucking feet. Because we want to be like the rich. Oh yeah. It's so cool to roll up in the club with your fucking pointy ass Nikes. And then you got feet looking like a goddamn arrow. Alright? What the fuck is this bullshit? Give me the fucking toe spacers. Give me these weird looking wide ass fucking shoes. And let's get to business. That's real. So anyways, walking around in bullshit ass modern shoes has fucked up our feet. And, not to mention, it's uncomfortable as hell. It's clammy, it's sweaty, it's the same shit again and again and again. And then shoes are like fucking $1,000? What the fuck? You gotta spend like fucking $60 on a pair of new shoes. Probably more than that. It doesn't make any damn sense. And you know, if you want like steel-toed boots, maybe you gotta work for a job, or maybe you just want to wear something more protective. You're paying like $100 for that shit. Why? It's not comfortable. It makes your feet disgusting and ugly. And, on top of that, it just makes your experience worse. It makes you less aware. It deforms your shit. It makes it horrible to balance. The modern shoe is the worst thing to happen. It's it's one of the worst things to happen in the history of humanity. I absolutely hate it. And I hope I hope the future exists in a world without the modern with what we call, or what I would call, the modern shoe. Alright? I 100% am a Nike hater. I'm an all shoes hater, alright? But I'm especially a hater of the style shoe, of the shoes of the rich. The pointy ass fucking Robin Hood ass fucking shoes. Tinkle looking motherfuckers. That shit that curls at the front. You think I want to look like that? How the fuck do you walk in some shit like that? How do you walk in that? Dude, shoes are fucked up. There are some fucked up things that have happened in the history of shoes. Like Chinese women and feet binding. That is nightmare shit. And it only ended like 100 years ago. It might have been more recent than that. That shit is nightmare fuel. Have you seen the feet of these Chinese women who have to appeal to these societal standards of wearing these fucking shoes that are way too fucking delicate and small? They have to like bend like 2 or 3 of their fucking toes, and then their feet are stuck like that. Are you fucking joking, dog? It's gross. It's nasty. And it's all because of these weird ass fucking things that don't even need to exist and don't make any sense. It's not swag. Women already have tiny, delicate fucking feet. Alright? They already have pretty feet that are small and cute. We don't need to do all of this fucking weird shit. I mean, sorry, it's culture. You're not supposed to touch that. But you know what I'm saying. Feet are perfect the way they fucking are. And they always have been perfect the way they are. Bare feet on the fucking ground has always been the right way to fucking do things. But shoes, rich people, and the arrogance of man have led us down a route where we're full of people. We have a society full of people with a fucked up posture, alright? A ground full of trash, fucking ugly ass streets instead of the beautiful variety of vegetation that exists courtesy of Mother Nature. Just disgusting ass streets. Why do we even have sidewalks? What's the fucking point? Oh yeah, so you can walk on flat fucking ground. Congratulations, you get to walk on this nasty ass concrete. Who gives a fuck, alright? Give me the fucking plants back. Give me this fucking vegetation back. You might have been walking on it, but whatever the hell I don't give a fuck, alright? There's some sow thistle right there, there's some purslane right there, and I'm feeling like a snack, alright? Okay, that's maybe taking things a little bit off the deep end. But the truth is that nature is wonderful, alright? And nature is awesome. And shoes can be good. Shoes can do some good. But we aren't going to do it better than the man himself. We aren't going to do this better than NATURE, okay? The M, who gets M's, mother of all, Mother Nature herself. We're not going to do this better than her. She's been at this shit for like, what, 10 quadrillion years? We've only been at this shit for like, what, 200,000. If we think about modern society, we've only been at this for 1,000 years. Okay, there are some things that we are actually doing really well. When it comes to our own biology, maybe it's here for a reason, and we shouldn't overlook that. We shouldn't discount that. We shouldn't throw it away. And that is the power of the barefoot. Thank you all for watching. Like, comment, and subscribe. Peace the fuck out, motherfuckers.